Hi class, this is Mrs. Gordian, and today we are just going to do a quick review with long division, and we are also going to take a look at a story problem that involves the operation of division, and we're going to determine what we have to do with those remainders. So let's start on our first problem. I would like you guys to copy this problem on your marker board. The problem is 1,834 divided by 6. If you feel comfortable enough to solve this problem on your own, please hit pause on our video right now and solve it independently. When you have finished, please hit play and see if you got the correct answer by listening to my following steps. Here we go. If I have the number 1, that means I have 1 apple. Can I put that 1 apple into groups of 6? No, there's not enough. So remember, every time we say no, we must put a 0 above it. Then I'm going to move over to my next number in my dividend. Now I have 18. 6 times what will give me 18? If you said 3, you're correct, because 6 times 3 is 18. We're going to subtract and get 0. My next step is to drop down my next number, which is a 3. If I have 3 apples, can I put that into groups of 6? No, there's not enough. So remember, if I say no, that means we put a 0 above it. Then, my next step is to drop down my next number, which is a 4. That gives me 34. 6 times what is close to 34 without going over? If you said 5, you're correct. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract and get a 4. That 4 is called our remainder. So we bring it up and we have a remainder of 4. So my answer to this problem is 305 remainder of 4. Remember that most important part is making sure that every time we say no, you put a 0 above it. Forgetting that 0 in the quotient in 305 is the most common error. Did you make that error, or are you a rock star? Let's move on to our next problem. Please write this problem on your marker board. It is 189,054 divided by 9. Again, if you feel comfortable enough to do this problem on your own, please hit pause and try it independently. Then, when you are finished, hit play to see if you got the answer correct. Let's begin. Here's my first number of 1. If I have 1 apple, can I put that into groups of 9? No, you don't have enough. So remember, if I say no, that means you put a 0 above it. Then we need to move on over to our next number. I now have 18. 9 times 2 is 18, so I'm going to subtract and get 0. My next step is to bring down my next number, which is a 9. 9 times 1 will give me 9, so I'm going to subtract and get 0. Again, you always drop down the next number. So I'm dropping down my next number, which happens to be a 0. If I have nothing, can I put it into groups of 9? No, I don't have anything to put into groups of 9. So remember, if you say no, you must put a 0 above it. The next step is to drop down your next number, which is a 5. If I have 5 apples, can I put those into groups of 9? No, you don't have enough. So remember, if you say no, that means put a 0 above it. Then the next step is to drop down your next number, which is a 4. 9 times what is 54? If you said 6, you're correct. 9 times 6 is 54. Subtract and we get our 0. We have no remainder. Your answer for this problem is 21,006. Did you get your answer right? If so, nice job. You're really understanding long division. Now, the next thing that I'm going to discuss with you guys is division story problems. And they're going to have remainders, and you have to determine what are you going to do with that remainder. So, here's 3 options that you have when you get a remainder in a story problem. You are either going to ignore it because it's not important in solving the problem. You're going to report it as a decimal or a fraction, or you're going to round the answer up. So, let's take a look at an example of a story problem. This story problem says, there are 77 people attending a luncheon. If each table can hold 8 people, how many tables do they need? So, I know right now I'm talking about having people eating at tables, and I need to know how many tables I need. So let me read the story one more time. I'm going to start underlining, circling, and boxing my important parts. So the story problem says, there are 77 people attending a luncheon. If each, that looks like a key word, remember each can be multiplying or dividing. In this case, it's talking about dividing. So we're dividing with the little symbol next to it. So each table can hold 8 people. Your question is, how many tables do they need? So this, as you can see, is a division problem. I would have 77 divided by 8 equals, let's put T for table. So now, on your marker board, please solve this problem, and let's figure out what we need to do if there's a remainder. So if I have 77 divided by 8, if I have 7 apples, can I put that into groups of 8? No, so we put a 0 above it. Then I move over to 77. 8 times 9 is 72, so I subtract and get 5. I now have a remainder of 5. Now let's take a look at this problem and figure out what everything means. This 77 here was talking about the total amount of people that they had at the luncheon. That total number of people. This 8 was talking about what? Well, let's take a look. It says 8 people at each table. So, we're going to come back to our problem, and we're going to say that that 8 is talking about how many people can be at each table. How many people can be at each table? So our answer up here is saying that we need 9 tables, but what does this 5 mean, that remainder? Is it talking about tables? Is it talking about people? Well, we're taking 77 people up here and taking 72 away, so that means we're left with 5 people. We're talking about people all right here. So is it fair for me just to tell those people to stand? No, that's not. So if we look back at our 3 options what to do with the remainder, ignoring it isn't going to be nice. We can't have those 5 people just stand. So I'm going to cross it off. Next, we can report it as a fraction or a decimal. Do I want parts of a table? No. So I'm going to cross that off. The third step says round the answer up. Can I round 9 tables up to 5 tables? Would that give me enough tables?